Right. Anyway, sorry about that. Ran out of storage. Yeah, we're just having a wibble over the bike. Quick look at it. Carbon fibre, nice. Good nick. Yeah, bike's in good condition. It just needs a good clean up. Back blocks in the parts washer thingy over there right now, getting done. All I've got to do is give that a quick clean up, chuck that back on there, get the chain cleaned, have a quick furk around. Pedals feel okay, nothing wrong with them. None of the other bearings feel bad. Just want to check this bottom bracket's got no play in it. I don't think it has. I don't think there's a bearing on the bike. Even the wheels were absolutely spot on. And these are Shimano wheels. They're not the best, but they are running really well. So I suspect they are a little bit older than they're an older style, because the newer ones are absolutely awful, I'll be honest. So we'll see where we go with that. I don't think they feel graunchy at all or anything. No, they feel really smooth. So no play in them at all. Happy days. Right, so let's crack on. Give this a good clean. Up against the windows again. So we'll clean that. It's been soaking all week. If you look at it, it's got that awful sticky oil on it, but I've left it soaking for, and actually, I'll tell you the truth, it's probably been in there for 2 weeks, because I've been away on a course the last 2 weekends. So I've had the bike about 3 weeks, to be honest, and I feel a bit guilty. It was a 2-second job, really, but you can see it's cleaning up nicely now, so it's just lifting straight off. So the magic citrus parts washer juice has done it again, so we'll just give that a quick blast off. I'm having no end of trouble with the filter on these. So if you've ever used one before, they run, but there's a filter here that stops chunks from going into the pump. But the filter itself's now clogged up, so I'm having to lift it up slightly so I can get in there, and then it's just a case of giving it some. So I'll finish this. Just gonna leave the chain soaking with a bit of degreaser on. I think ideally, if I could have found a split link, I'd have chucked this chain in the parts washer as well, because it's in a bit of a state. So here we go. There you go. Stop recording. Stop recording. So we'll just get this stuck back on here. Oops, not put the lid back on my Sharpie. That's why my Sharpies go missing. Just noticed that's a bit scabby as well, and now my squirt is just full of air again. A bit of a mess. You don't need to clean these or grease these. I see people chucking grease all over the splines for the cartridge. You don't need to do it. But what you do need to do is make sure that it is clean, because otherwise your cartridge won't sit in the right place. So I mean, we could strip all this out. It's a ball and cone thing, but to be honest, it feels smooth, and if it feels smooth, leave it alone. Because as soon as you start messing with it, it invariably unsettles something, or get ball bearings mixed up, and all shit happens, and ball bearings get out of sequence, and they're never quite the same when you put them back together again, unless you're going to change all the balls and the seats. The cups. Seats, splines, centres, the centre bit, not the cups. The cups are what the race sits in. So just give that a quick subtle bit brush, just to get it all out. The actual. I've got some cleaning brushes. Look at these babies. I think this was one of those Aldi sets or something. So it's got a few useful brushes in, so just gonna give it a. Try and get all that muck out there, because you can see the back of the seat where it rocks up to. It's got some dirt in there, and that'll stop it sitting back as far as it should, and then over time that dirt will eventually move or get pushed out the way, and then the block will be slightly loose or slightly off indexing. So looks a lot better now. And even that feels smooth, so this can just go straight on. So what you're looking for, there's a fat one. There you go, it's there. Here's a fat one. Right, and there'll be one fat one on here as well. There you go. So they're all lined up at the same point. Just in case you don't know why, it's because there are slightly different shaped teeth, and there's little scallop sections and that help pick up. So the pickup is in a certain point, which is why, especially if you're riding a road bike, you need to have good discipline about your gear changing, about when you start to do it and when you don't. That's a really weird one. That's the fat one on there. There it is. You'll know if you've got it right anyway, because all the, generally speaking, all the numbers of the different intermediate cogs will be in a row or somewhere near each other. It doesn't always work like that, but oops, don't forget the spacers. So all these are different. Some of them come as one just big unit that just gets lobbed on, and some of them are individual bits all the way through. It depends on the size of it. It's impossible to put them on wrong as well because of the way they're spaced, that you can't put them on upside down, and you can't put them in the wrong position across the hub, because it just won't fit. Where's the fat one? That one. And the other way, if you're just eyeballing it in, is the writing's always to the outside, but it won't let you put it to the other side anyway, so I won't worry too much about that. And then that last one, be careful with these last ones, because sometimes you might feel like you've got it in the right place, but because they're right on the edge of the detents on there, it might feel like it's in, but it's not. Right, some of these have a spring washer, some of them don't. This one doesn't. I think they're starting to do away with them anyway, which is good. But they have got a slight knurling on, so just be careful when you put these in. If it doesn't feel like it's going in, don't force it. You might have to spin it backwards until you hear it click with a little bit of pressure on the ring. You can hear that's actually biting now. 40 Newton meters. So 40 Newton meters is the equivalent to 4 meter kilograms, or kilogram meters, kilograms per meter, because a Newton is kilogram times 10, or times gravity, 9.81 something or other, if I can remember all that kind of stuff. You don't need a whip strap when you're taking them off. So that's 42 there. Take it down to 42, knock 2 off. 0.8, so we're down at 40 now. If you've got a German torque wrench, you need to set it to gut and tight. There you go. That's it. Now then, I did notice that when I took the the hub out of there, we're missing the centering springs. So because this isn't the first bike that's arrived on my doorstep with missing springs, I did actually buy some. Only I can't remember where I put them. I would definitely say they're not in there. That looks like bottom brackets and bearings. What's that? Nope. No. No. Come on. Where are we? you. That's a good view. There's got to be another box somewhere. Oh, what's this here? Aha! Let's have a look, see if they're in here. No. 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 Right, so given I can't find the flipping things, I would have thought they would have been here. This is where I've chucked most of the stuff. And I can't see them. I haven't seen them in there, and they're not on there. I will take the decision to take them out of another skewer. I do have some other skewers. There we go. Taking off that turbo skewer. And I'll just replace them when I find them, because I will find them. They might even be up in the office still. They've just not made it down to the workshop yet. They could be. Where else could they be? Could be in there. I tend to chuck a lot of stuff in there. So, always goes to the opposite side of the cog. What does it? Hold on. Yes. What to think then? Yeah. So what they do is basically make sure it's centered. There you go. Job's a good one. That's ready to go back on the bike. Looks a lot better than it did when it came off. Nice action that. There we go. Stop recording. Stop recording. Road bikes are not the easiest thing to do this on, because you invariably need a bit of resistance and push down on them. So what I'm saying is it's easier to do this bit while they're actually on the floor. But as long as it's somewhere near, I can go. He says. Just sit on the floor. A few people have asked about the stand. I've had it for ages actually. I think it came from Chain Reaction. So did you see the way that dropped back in then? So that should move a lot better now. This is one of those bikes again as well that the brake cable runs in a place where the stand doesn't like it. I should really have it on there, but I didn't want to take Justina's thing off. Right then, so let's put the chain cleaner on. Stop recording. Stop recording. Classic Planet X Jobsworth chain cleaner. I have had this absolutely years. It is broken. I've glued it back together a few times. I must have had about 10 of these, and this is one of the original ones. I think I've overfilled that. I know I've overfilled that. Still overfilled that. Trouble is, it's that full of garbage. Anyway, chain runs through there, whirly, 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 whiz, 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 whirly, swipe, 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 and it all comes off. Something similar up there. These fingers get right into the chain and clean it off. Do you know what? It's not the most efficient way, but it's better than any other way, other than soaking it in the bath and giving it a good scrub. I have got another one somewhere that's a muck-off one that is actually slightly better, but that also got dropped on the floor. Every single one of them gets dropped on the floor. I can't find it. There's a battery charge yet. No, it's like a pink coloured. No idea why it turned off then. Anyway, right, it's a pink one. I've no idea where it is. I might have even chucked it out because they're all pretty mashed. What generally happens is they end up on the floor and they get knocked over and trod on, or they fall off because they're a weird shape, and either the handle breaks or the lids smash on them. So I just seem to have a lot of problems. But anyway, we'll set you up here because I think you can see what I'm doing there. Possibly. The one I had before this used to hook it onto the actual derailleur itself, so you didn't have a hand grip on it, and that broke as well. Have I got it on the right way round? What, I can't tell. Yes, I think I have. Yep. So that locks it in place, and all you do, oops, is you hold on to it so it doesn't run away, and you just spin the chain through it. So this is why I sprayed a lot of rubbish on it earlier, was to get some of this stuff loosened up, because it really is that. We've got a bit of an issue going on. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. How have I managed to jam the chain? I don't think I've ever managed to do that before. Oh, I see what's up. No, not that one. That one. Come on, how many years have you been riding a bike? Yeah, I think the chain. Yeah, you better avoid it in a neutral run. When I say neutral run, so it's running neutral off the front ring at the front, or it starts to try and change gear. And I've just got it too high a gear now. I get a bit longer. It tends to start to foam up after a while. Right, that's it. Let's get that off. Leave that there, and you see you put it there because it's full of liquid and you think, oh, I'll clean that out later and it'll all be good, and then you don't, and then it gets knocked over and it lands on the floor and explodes everywhere in a horrible smelly irky mucky mess. And just trying to find some really old scabby cloth now, because what you don't want is decent cloth for this. You don't want one that's covered in sawdust either. For the inside. Oh, the inside looks a bit better. So at this point as well, make the use of the fact that you've got a lot of this degreaser. Get your fingers into the jockey wheels as well, and get them cleaned off. Now I do remember this bike was absolutely caked around the jockey wheels as well, to the to the kind of level you would normally see on a mountain bike. It was proper minging. Oops, come on. That's it. A bit of a circle. There is an argument you should do this before you clean the back cassette, but to be honest, it doesn't make that much difference. Try and get as much of it off as possible. So that chain's actually coming up rather nicely. Right then, drip of oil. So what you want to do is get both sides of the chain with just a little bit of oil. It doesn't need to be a lot. Light engineering oil. I've had this rant. Now this front bottom bracket does feel a bit tight as well, so I'm just going to put a bit of oil in there, because I suspect it's not. I suspect it's just the muck that's come down there. Now what I might do is, if it doesn't free up, is I'll just loosen I'll loosen that up in case somebody's over tightened it, because that's quite possible. mil, 4, 5. So 5mm wrench under the 2 bolts on the other side, and then there's a spinner. Oops, you're over here, you're not over there anymore. So there's a spinner for the centre of that to take that off. And that just unscrews that. What can happen sometimes is that people over tighten that, and that is only supposed to be finger tight. There is supposed to be a very slight amount of float. And what I suspect is happening here is, because that feels really tight, is that somebody's cranked that right in. So what we're going to do is we'll just slacken this off. And you are actually supposed to check the torque on these at a regular 3-month interval, according to Shimano. (12 to 15 Newton meters). Not as gut and tight. This one does actually say Newton meters on it, this one. So this is a slightly smaller one. So it says 12 to 15. I generally go for about 14. I think sometimes 15 is a bit too tight. I have had one of these strip the bolts out. That's where we find out how tight this has been done up. That's not too bad actually. So I suspect what's happening here is it is just full of crap. So what we'll do is we'll just knock it out. 5mm. Right. This camera's challenging me today. It keeps turning the video off. I'll just whip this out. So this was supposed to be a quick video, but it doesn't hurt to get the look over there. Thank you. Right. So this is a classic Shimano 2-piece crank. There is actually a retainer in there that hooks into a hole. It's to stop your crank from flying off. I think if you got to this point, I don't think you'd be that worried about it coming off, to be honest. I think you'd have more worries. They are a right well faff sometimes to get out. Come on, release. See, on the Ultigras you can actually put a little pick in and just poke it out of the way, but the centre of this looks a lot thicker because they are a lot heavier gauge. That's another thing that disappears. Flipping picks, I can never find a pick. So there is a little hole, usually. Not on these. So the diameter, the thickness of the shaft on these is a lot thicker than they are on the Ultigras, and on the Ultigras there is actually a little thing. So what you can do is you can pop them up out of the way. Now what's interesting is that this does actually look like it's been reasonably recently greased, so I suspect this bike, as I said in earlier. Yeah, right, so I did get it out, it just popped up. You can see that lifts up there and it puts a little finger down and that finger gets stuck into that thing there. Right, now on the, you can see what I meant about the casing. On the Ultigras, because it's a lighter crank, that's a lot thinner and made out of a stronger, thinner metal. So because these are heavier, cheaper ones, the metal's cheaper and therefore has to be thicker, therefore it's a lot heavier. Anyway, right, so we'll just clean all that lot up, clean that crap off there. I suspect if we have a quick little diddy hammer, we just knock that through and have a look. I suspect it'll be the same on there as well. Don't know if you can see from there. Oh yeah, that's not good. Right, so we'll just knock the crank off, drop the chain off, and just have a quick clean up of that, because that's not That's not as it should be. Come on, let go of it. Right, so we'll just... Can't do it with two hands. Right, so we'll knock that out and I'll give it a quick clean up. Stop video. Stop recording. So that's looking all right. The parts washer's done its job again. I had to get my nail behind that to get that off. It's that awful stuff. It's that sticky glue stuff. It had got behind it, and I think that's what's causing it to drag. We'll just give that a quick work over, and then we'll get the crank back in. I don't think there's any issues there. They're fine. They're not graunchy at all, and it's always the outer one that's the problem. It's never the crank side one. No, that's fine. They feel great. Good news. Well, this was just in anyway because I've not called them out as a problem originally. I might actually potentially have some spare bearings for them, so it wouldn't have been a big issue. Probably about £5 to replace it as opposed to £40. I'd have just swapped the bearings into the shells because why wouldn't you? Right, anyway, right, I'll stick that back together. Stop recording. Oh, and again, a few people have asked me, what do I use as the lubricant? It's a red grease. It's a bike grease. It's got additives in it, ons and Teflons and things. It just come with a nice handy applicator. I don't think it cost me a lot. I think it was only a couple of quid more to get it with the applicator, and then you can buy additional tubes you just screw in. And you know what? It just works. It's just so easy than sticking your fingers in. And you'll recognise it because it seems that most bike places use it. So it's red. Put a bit round there. Not much. Most of it's going to go on here because what happens is you smear it all over, and all that happens is when you chuck it in the bike, it pushes it all through anyway, and it all ends up in there. So we're going to put a little bit around here as well. It's just to help it slide through. It's not actually lubricating because it's a ball race system, and the sealed ball races anyway. It's just to help it going in without it chafing, and also when you want to get it out again afterwards. Also, the grease does stop a lot of grit and shit from transmitting through the shaft. And then if you do get a bearing lockout and you end up spinning the shaft again and the bearing's frozen, it stops you damaging your shaft as much because there is some grease in there. So it's more of a preventative measure. Put that back onto there. Freshly oiled chain because that's just what you want to get your fingers into. That seems okay. Yeah. Right. So, not done many sawers as a two-piece. The Ultra Grid's sliding quite nicely, but I'm just going to make sure it is actually home. Again, don't be whacking it with anything big. I know I laughed about my Diddy hammer, but I tend to try and use the Diddy hammer if I can. Right. So all this does is just this slides over the top. If you've got it indexed correctly, which I have. No idea why it's trying to jump onto the big ring. Let me just have a fix of that. Oh, it's because it was on the big ring. Who's the new guy? Right, that does feel a lot better now. Already plenty of grease in there. I do tend to put a bit of grease on the end of them as well. They don't need to be done up tight. There's a reason why there's a finger nailing on there. Right, so you do it up. Now they used to sometimes have a little friction plate, so if you want to really crank round on it, you're probably going too tight, right? And all you want to do is just check there's no lateral movement in it, and then check once it's had a chance to settle down in a couple of weeks' time that there's no lateral movement on it. You weren't hung up on something. You'd know fairly quickly anyway, because your gears start going to pot. So let's crank this back up. So with these, you've got to do them evenly. Make sure the tongue's in its place, whatever you want to call it. Get the spanner. Do it the way I used to do it. So just crank them up so it just nips. Crank it up so it just nips. And then you'll find this one spins again now. Just doing it so you can just do it with your fingers, no brake pressure, and then bring in your torque wrench. It just saves you wrangling your torque wrench around. So bit at a time. Now you could do this. You could apply it 5 newtons at a time, but just be sensible with it. You do need to apply them evenly. You just get a feel for whether you're putting too much in on it. That can't be a million miles away now. I can feel I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on that. There you go. I like this torque wrench. It's got quite a positive click. The other bigger one hasn't. There you go. And then keep going back, because it will, of tightening that one, will have taken some of the pressure off this one now. So you see, there was about a good couple of mil of travel there, or possibly even a degree, if you want to go into degrees, minutes and seconds. That's it. And we've got positive click on both sides. So that's now spot on. That feels a lot better. That was really draggy before. So just wipe the excess oil off. You don't want it on your carpet. Justin doesn't want it in a car. It's not doing anything if it's sat on the surface. Job is a good one. Let's get my cleaner cloth. cleaner cloth. Get my grubby paw prints off it. I don't think I will my grubby paw prints, to be honest. The only problem with the white frame, that's interesting. I would say she needs to keep an eye on that. It's on the aluminium, so it's probably alright. It looks like it's just a scratch. Nothing more sinister. Has it got a... Yeah, it's got a chain whip guard on it. So a quick look around this side to see what damage I've done with these greasy paw prints around here. There we go. Right, I'll just give it a quick once-over, check the gears are actually indexing properly. Find my phone as well and do the customer one. Down, 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 down. Look at that. Oh, straight up. Half trim, all the way down, back up, half trim, all the way down. Pleased with that. That's looking well. I'm going to get my grubby thing and just give the chain a quick once over again. Right. Stop recording. Not my favourite thing to do in the world, but they look alright. Really don't like doing bar tape. I'll just I'm not happy about that bit, but unfortunately that's where it's ended up.